All rise to the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, notation exits in the front and the rear. An electronic device, please put it on vibrate. Let's see. Tonight, we're supposed to have a public hearing on
Well,
chapter...
we want to come out of executive
Oh,
session.
we didn't? Oh, yeah. You know what, it doesn't even say that.
Roll call.
Make a motion to come out of executive session, no action was taken.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Roll call.
Yep.
You think roll call yet? Go.
Councilman Alvarez.
Present.
Councilwoman Eckhart.
Here.
Councilman Larker.
Here.
Councilman Lord.
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. We missed the publication notice for the paper, so we're gonna, it's postponed this evening, the public hearing, and we'll put it on for the next meeting. Will, can you put that in tomorrow, do you think?
Yep.
For the next meeting? Okay. I make a motion, go into the work session, discussion of e-waste.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Lynn?
All right. Well, why don't you update everyone on exactly where we are, Tony? It's kind of a collaborative effort.
Okay, the company's SAMR has applied to the county for a permit, and they're 99.9% of the way through the process. The only thing that's lacking is the check. So once the county receives the check, they'll be ready to go. Now, we're shooting for a week from this Saturday. Can't say for sure that will be the date it will be open, but it'll definitely open the first Saturday in July. We pretty much have, well, we're gonna have, everything will be on the website prior to this going online. Some people, we have quite a few phone numbers that tell people when it opens, which we're prepared and ready to do. And now it's just the nitty-gritty of how we do it.
Okay. I will go through really briefly so people know, and if you have comments, and I really want to hear from everyone on the town board. We do have a document that we'll put online, and that will be for people who want to bring more than 6 items, 6 larger items, or a single item weighing 50-plus pounds. So we'll get that online. We have signage that I think you've all gotten to review that will be placed down at Highway. We have, Tony has put together a calendar, so we'll be open the first and third Saturday of each month. And the calendar will be online. It will also go out, it will be on our annual garbage flyer. There is a list, we will have a list, and I've been working with Highway Superintendent Bruin about getting our old sign back up, which will have a listing of what we can bring. And I think it's important, and it'll be confusing at first, and this is really a work in progress, but things like if someone comes down with a vacuum cleaner, that's something that you can actually discard. We won't be accepting that because it costs us money to get rid of this waste. So that is something that you can put out for bulk pickup. So there'll be lots of, I think it'll, I'm hoping it isn't difficult in the beginning. I think that the town board's been very helpful. I know Eric, John, and Edwin have all volunteered, myself, to be there. I'm hoping it's next Saturday so that we can help, and we'll have 3 others helping because I really, we really want it to go as smoothly as possible for our residents. So I will entertain any questions that I can answer. Tony knows even more about it than I do, so Edwin?
I think, I don't know if for like over the winter months, if we should just put a generic disclaimer, like, if it's snowing or something.
We do have,
Okay.
we will have closed during weather emergencies and damaging
Right, I mean,
windstorms, yes.
I can see the highway department working to clear the roads, and then
No.
we're all in the middle trying to
No,
collect e-waste.
when they're busy, we have to be closed, we
Yeah.
can't, yeah, it's,
And what's the purpose of, like, if you bring in, why 6 items or more, you gotta fill out the form? Like, for me, I just wanna make it easy, and, I mean, I may have like 6 small items.
Right,
as opposed to,
yes, and I think it will be discretionary, like if you came in with 10 cell phones, I don't think you're gonna be turned, or 10 laptops even, I don't think you're gonna be turned away, but we don't want, 10 large screen or old-fashioned monitors, or we kind of like to track and see what people are bringing, if that's the case.
Yeah, if
So-
one person were to bring in a truckload of
Right.
TVs, say they got 10, 15, 16 TVs, they may have been, we want to be able to track back and find out where they may be coming from. I mean, no one person should have more than whatever, but if they have, no one's going to count like 6 cell phones, not a question. Matter of fact, when they do it, and it'll be signed off on. And the only thing, projection TV would be charged an additional $25 because of the weight, and it takes extra work to get it off the lot.
But you make a good point, and I think that the people that'll be working there will have, use of their own discretion. And I think it's really important to accommodate our residents, but no one wants us to be gamed. We don't want to game the system and have, someone just bringing stuff over from Connecticut or from out of town. Most likely that's not going to happen, but this will give us a control device if it does, if we don't need this. And as I said, if people are bringing 10 laptops in, I don't think we're going to have a problem with that.
And did we finalize, there was a lot of talk of how we were gonna figure out if you were a resident, for me, again,
Yes.
just, I show you my driver's license, or it could be a PO for Brewster, because obviously people can live in Putt Lake or Patterson, but yet have a Brewster PO, and just call it a day, but then we talked about
No, Tony's-
license readers.
No,
and
Tony's done the work on this, so
other
I'll let him
forms
answer
and
that.
all
There,
this
there
other
is,
stuff.
we have a laptop. The laptop has a reader, it reads the back of a license. The only thing we're pulling off the person's license is their name and their address.
Okay,
We have 2 people that live in the town, that work for the town. One has lives in Patterson, has a Brewster, New York address, and another one of our employees has a Carmel address and lives in the town of Southeast.
right,
Now, we ran their licenses through the scanner, and when it goes through the scanner, the one that lived in Patterson, it showed up red, meaning it's not acceptable, they're not a resident of the town of Southeast. And the one that had a Carmel, New York address based on the street numbers and everything, and when you scanned it, it comes up green. And also, the purpose of the computer is to track, everyone that's coming there will always know how many times someone has come in. Now, we're not going to count the number of items per se. We'll get a semi-annual report from the company itself explaining how much tonnage we have. But this way here, we'll be able to track, the number. It's so much easier, there's really no paperwork. You push a button and the paperwork will come out accordingly.
right, yeah, I'm just trying to make it easy, but more importantly, so like you said, the Patterson person that, it came up red, how are we gonna handle that? I hate
We
to
just tell
try.
them, we just tell them they're not a resident town in Southeast, and
And
Patterson
they
has,
they can go to Patterson. They have,
every town
Even
will have
though
its,
they have a Brewster PO, they live in Patterson,
Yeah.
but they have a Brewster PO, we're gonna turn them
not a
away?
PO, no, we're going by the license. They don't have a license. They have to have 2 forms of ID identifying themselves as a town of Southeast resident, either electric bill or something else if they don't have a license. But anyone driving a vehicle should have a license.
Okay,
yeah, they won't be, in other words, residents of Southeast will not be turned away if they show their license, because the scanner picks up, even if you say, if you
Okay.
lived in Hunters Glen, say, which is Carmel.
Right.
But that's the town of Southeast, that comes up
right,
as
well,
Southeast,
that's
they're
my
fine.
point with Patterson. If there was, a Patterson PO or something that's really, that's really a Brewster, but if.
No,
we're
that would
saying-
come out, if someone had a Patterson PO but lived in Southeast, they'll get a green light, they'll be.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Yes,
I think the way I helped Joe write the code a little bit for it, so it looks at any address that is a Southeast taxpayer, I guess,
Okay.
right,
Right.
from Lori, so, Southeast road listing.
right.
Yeah, so if it's
All right.
in Hunter's Glen, those people will be able
Okay.
to
Right.
dump there.
Right, so, yeah.
So
we-
every road in the town of Southeast has been programmed into the computer.
Okay.
Only does it once, it knows what roads. So if you live on Palisades Road's in Patterson,
Right.
I don't think it has a Brewster address. I don't want to, let's see.
A lot of them
Give me a
do.
road in Patterson that's
Right, a lot of,
East Branch, okay?
a lot of Putt Lake is a Brewster PO.
Right, exactly.
But this
Yeah,
will
and that's-
show that you
okay.
live in Patterson. But yeah, I think it will protect our residents from, being hassled.
And each town has its own e-waste facility. And they don't actually have, ours is an e-waste facility because we don't have, a bulk pickup. We have bulk pickup. A lot of them have recycling centers. The town does not have a recycling center. This is for e-waste only. So they were already set up. We're kind of like new to the game because we didn't have anything. So we're starting from scratch.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? or-
That's all I could think of right this second. I mean, you know,
It's gonna be a work in progress.
Yeah.
We'll
Right,
learn as we go.
Yeah, for me, I'd like to, hopefully we can get it open by Saturday the 15th, because I may have said on Facebook that that's when we were opening. So even if it's a disaster, at least we can hopefully get it open as soon as possible, see what we learn, and then we'll just improve it from there, so.
And I think, I mean, the only reason I think we wouldn't be open that day is if the container hasn't arrived, correct?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're
We'll get-
ready to
We'll get
go.
the container here, but I don't want to get it here until I know that they've got
Right.
their license.
Right, right. So that's what we want to make sure we have. Because we don't need to mess up highway for 2 weeks waiting. It just wouldn't be fair.
The container is something that's handled by the
Company.
SAMR, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
And the,
It's
what
only
the,
one company that we're dealing with.
yeah, it's a, what they consider 50-yard container. It's approximately 22 feet long, 8.5 or 9 feet high, and we're being charged $1,875 per pickup. So once the container's full, they want to be called like the week before, and they pick it up and return a new one, and it's paid by the pound. And they estimate it will hold between 12 to 15,000 pounds until we fill it up and see how often we have to do it.
Right.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, last year, I don't have the exact pounds that were in our, but it cost, if the town had to pay for this at 25 cents a pound last year, it would have cost the town over $29,000 to rid itself of its e-waste. But now there's going to be a much tighter control where only residents of the town of Southeast can deliver it. It won't be for anyone from outside. It's not open 24 hours a day. So the amount of material we get should be a lot less.
Residents only or commercial also?
Residents, if they have a commercial business and they're a resident, they can dump it off.
So we'll have to wait and see if, you know, especially if it's less than 6, it shouldn't be a problem, I don't think. But we'll have to, as everyone's been saying, it's a work in progress.
I have 4 items sitting in my garage waiting.
We're waiting for you.
Well, don't get two more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
be
got at
careful.
least 12
You got
laptops,
2 forms.
desktops under my desk.
So I guess you'll have to spread it out. and
No,
have your
Kathy will
wife
bring a few.
Yeah,
I'll bring-
yeah, there you go. So, but I think if the public can be patient, I know I'd appreciate it, but I think with all of us working there on our first date, we can make it as smooth as possible. So I appreciate everyone stepping up to the plate on this. So, any other questions on this?
Want public comment?
Yeah, I'm happy to entertain public
Good.
comment right now. Does anyone on the public want to speak?
Hi, I'm Mike Bruin. I have a few questions. I'm going to bounce around a little bit because you did answer some of them. I heard something about the weight of the container that's going to be, you say 15,000 pounds gross weight?
12 to 15,000, they could say.
How do you determine that?
I have no idea. That's what they do for a living, and they said the container holds between 12 to 15,000. If it's 11,500 or it's 15,100, they made the determination.
And what's the cost for that?
$18.75 a pickup.
I know on shipping containers, they usually have a tear weight printed on the container itself, so they probably would get a weight once it's empty and once it's full and determine the weight that way. I'm not sure if we would be able to verify that.
No, we don't
We
have
don't-
to,
it
we
doesn't-
don't have to worry
weight
about
doesn't-
the weight
we
at
don't-
all. It's
Okay.
not our concern.
Yeah.
But they want it
Well, it's-
packed tight.
It's
They-
only our concern if we have trust in the people that do it. They could tell us it weighs anything. We don't know what the unladen weight, we could probably determine what the unladen weight was.
The weight, it has no bearing.
But we
on this.
won't be
The
paying by weight.
The weight has no bearing.
Yeah, paying by container.
Yeah,
If you
So
pick up an empty
regardless- if
container, it costs
there's-
$18.75.
If
Yeah.
there's 30,000 pounds in it, when it
Correct.
goes, they're gonna take it for the same price?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
yes.
They charge per pull.
Yes, per pull. So, I mean, and they want it packed tight. They've told us that, so.
Okay.
But yes, that's how it stands right now.
Is there a reason why the town doesn't separate certain items and actually sell them for profit?
I can answer that, I think. I'm certainly not qualified, I don't know who we would hire and who's qualified to do that. So at this point, no, that's not something that, Mike, that we wouldn't entertain in the future. because, as I said, it's a work in progress, and we want to make this as efficient as possible. I know, working with you, you've helped me out with some efficiencies, so I don't think anything really is off the table, but for now, this is how we're going to do it, I think.
And also, we've been doing this for 5 years, so if that was any kind of a thing that was considered, it should have been done long ago.
Well, we should have been,
Yes.
yes, we certainly, and maybe I dropped the ball on that, and I, being a highway liaison, should have considered that previously, but it's not that it's a bad suggestion, we're just not equipped to do that now. And I could defer to Eric a bit on this, because you know more about it, but,
And not only that, every
well, you know
town,
more about value than I
well,
certainly.
every town is basically doing the same thing, even the county when they set up the program. The containers were there. Part of the problem was it was people raiding these containers, taking stuff out of the containers that weren't supposed to be taking it, so all the good stuff was missing. So we lost that contract, don't know if that's the reason why, but it's all about poundage, and again, it's not the type of business we want to go into.
At this stage, but it's not
Our-
something I would rule
And
out.
again,
Well,
over the past 5 years. we've
certainly
done it.
makes sense to remove the products that you can easily recycle for a profit, rather than loading the thing up with stuff that you're going to pay $1,850 per load to get rid of. Is there a list that's currently complete for the acceptable and unacceptable items?
Same list that you had on the container that was at your site.
I'm sorry?
The same list that you have a board we're looking for with the types of materials?
I do.
Okay, look at that, that's exactly what we're taking.
Okay.
And Mike, if that's different, I'll let you know, because we want that to be up to date. So as soon as you find it and get back to me, I'm happy to go over that with
I
you.
will, as I said.
Yeah.
I got back and I was busy with Tom
I
Fenton
know.
most of the day, so
That's fine.
I will put that on the agenda first thing in the morning, and
Great.
you can
Okay,
pick it
and
up
then we can
anytime.
compare notes on that. That would be great.
How many people are going to be manning the operation, and what cost per hour?
There will be, and Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, I think to start with, to make sure things go smoothly for our residents, there'll be 3 people, and they're being paid $15 an hour from 9:30 in the morning, or even after they've gotten it down closer to 10 o'clock, and hopefully they're finished right at 2.
But if they're not done at 2 o'clock, before
gonna-
they
yes.
leave for the day, anything that's outside that container will be put inside the container.
Right. We don't want to leave the highway department with any litter, any problems, anything to do, so they'll need to work to get it in. I don't mind at all if, in the beginning, I have to go over other Saturdays to help out. I'm willing to do that, whatever
It'll
keeps
be
the
cleaned
cost
up on
down.
Monday morning. If it's not,
Yes.
if Monday morning, and if anyone drops anything off at any point in time during the week,
Right.
okay, they'll notify the town board, and we will have it picked up and put it inside that container.
Right. We don't want to inconvenience you at Highway, so you'll need to be in touch with me or the whole board so that we can clean up for you, okay?
Do you know where the container is going to be placed?
I think, Tony, you had a spot that you thought would be good?
Well, right now, there's like a shed, but we're gonna probably put it all the way to the right-hand side, because when the people sign in, we want a kind of a queuing area for like 5 to 6 cars. So on the far end, you got the gas meters here, the town vehicles are parked here, and it goes back like this here, right in that corner is the best spot for it, so it doesn't take up but one space.
So there's no plan for a hut of sorts or a building for people the workers to sit in at this point in time?
Lynn, that's your.
That's me. You would graciously recommended the shed, which I like for now. I think I don't want to spend any money. This is on me at this point, and I'm very grateful you mentioned the shed. So that is what we would like to use, which I was going to call and talk to you about. And also, in the beginning, we thought we could use just a canopy for the day, and we're going to have special districts, I think, let us get us some table and a couple of chairs for the people using the scanner. So that's what we're doing for now. In the future, if we have to build something, we're going to see what the future holds. We're trying to do this on a shoestring so that we don't spend money needlessly where we don't need to.
How will the program be advertised to the public?
On the website.
Especially in the beginning, you know.
Don't worry, they know.
Yeah, and
Eric's already told
and
them.
I would have no problem, once we get kinks out and it's really operating correctly, if we need to get a newspaper article or whatever we need to do, we can do that. But I think there's pent-up demand in the village, I
The
think.
village offered to put something in their next newspaper that's coming out, I think, on July 2nd, but they want us to give them the start date and give them whatever information we can as soon as possible. So that's what we'll be doing.
And no matter what, it's always the first and third Saturday of every month.
And the village paper is called Village Matters, and that's also probably online, so if people want to look
Has
at
there
that.
been some consideration given for winter months when the highway department may be active during storms?
We will be closed when the highway department is, that is key and it is mentioned. We will not be open when the highway department has to be working,
Okay.
because that's really, you need to have the whole highway department to yourself.
The license scanner determines, is this some sort of a pre-programmed system that has certain residents in it? And if, saying that, if people in Patterson or in Carmel have a Brewster address, number one, why do they have Brewster addresses? So they can come to the facility with a driver's license that shows them as having a Brewster address.
The scanner does separate all of that out. So the scanner will, if you live at Hunter's Glen and you have a Carmel address, you're still in the town of Southeast, you will be allowed to dump there. If you live in Putnam Lake and have a Brewster address, which is actually Patterson, you won't be allowed to do that. And I think Eric can
Yeah,
comment, because he did the help with the scanner.
So the source of the data that it bounces the license information off of, we got from the assessor. So if there's a match, they can dump there. So even Carmel addresses. And I think we said if for some reason we made a mistake and there was some sort of glitch in the system where we said, no, we can't take this, we would offer to pick it up. Is
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Yes.
So we would then go to that person's house and pick up their e-waste, apologize and.
If it's
and
our
bring it to the
mistake.
dump. If it's our mistake, yeah, but.
Okay, so there is a means of determining, because I personally, throughout the time that the facility was open for that, saw residents from the town of Southeast with stuff that they admitted came from New Fairfield at their cousins or
Right.
whatever, and since I am a resident here, I'm allowed to drop that.
That
Or there-
that can still happen. There's no way to get around that.
I think that's, Mike, why we're going to do this limit to 6 items, because if someone's trying to game the system by doing that or bringing truckloads in, we will be able to register them and see what they're doing, because we want to keep it for our residents.
Yeah, and also the computer program that scans the license, it keeps a record of everything. So, 6 months from now, we could go back and see like, oh, this person came, 12 times, and we can,
Right.
I don't know what we would do.
What would be done at that point?
I don't know, but we
We
would
would
discuss it.
contact.
We'll
the-
cross the
yeah.
bridge when we get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but the point is that we'd have the ability to look back and see what's going on.
Right. And I think we'd probably figure it out pretty fast, but, yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike,
Thanks,
and
Mike.
thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Okay, make a motion now to go into the regular meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to repeal and replace resolution regarding CSEA contract amendment. Now therefore be resolved that the supervisor be and is hereby is authorized to execute an amendment to the collective bargaining agreement with the CSEA, which commenced January 1, 2017, and expires on December 31st, 2020, to add a new title, position of senior account clerk, in form and substance approved by the town attorney. So move for discussion.
Second?
We did this for discussion, we did this previously, and when we forwarded to the CSEA, they asked for one of the whereas clauses to be removed, and one of the dates was wrong. So that has been corrected, and that's why we're doing this repeal and replace. Further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment? Seeing none, town board?
I'll just remind everybody again to join us for the fireworks on June 30th. Again, celebrate Independence Day on Independent Way. Fireworks go off at 9:30. Hope to see you all there.
Flag
Oh,
Day,
Flag Day, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Flag Day is next Friday.
Friday at 6.
Definitely at the Elks at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Right. And I think Putnam County Day is that Friday morning, I believe at 10 o'clock, so at the old courthouse, for those who are interested.
I was at the village board meeting last night, and the Little League asked if they could have a redo on their parade that was canceled for, on Earth Day because of the rain. So they're going to have a parade on June 22nd, and I believe it'll probably start at 10 o'clock from Electra Zone Field up to Markel Park. And I think the finals in the Little League would be played later in the day, so it's all a big baseball day for the Little League, so. That's all I have.
I don't think anyone will see this by then, but the Brewster Music Festival is this Saturday, and I went last year, it was a good time, so if you have nothing to do, go to that. That's it.
And to all the veterans and military personnel in the United States, America, and Putnam County and Southeast, thank you for your service and continued service. I'll take a motion.
Make a motion, we adjourn tonight's meeting?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.